Hi internet friends, how's it going? My name is Nicole and welcome to my first video! Today I'm going to be making a D&D mini. I already kind of have a plan for how I want to paint it, but I have to keep that a secret because that's for, next time. But yeah, I don't have it all totally planned out. I know it's going to be some kind of spellcaster with like some kind of cape type thing and probably some horns, so maybe like a tiefling or something like that. We'll see how it goes. I'm kind of a spontaneous sculptor, so we'll just let the stuff do whatever it decides to do. Now, I am not a professional yet. I've only made a couple minis before. Hopefully you and I can learn some things while I make this, and I hope that you enjoy seeing my process on how I make the minis. I will be doing like a voiceover over top of some time-lapsey stuff so you can see everything, but like super sped up so it doesn't, take a million years.
Okay, so to start, I have a cork and some wire and some wire cutters slash pliers. So we're going to be making the armature out of this. I'll explain the cork later. I'm still kind of messing around with this way of making armatures, so I'll do like a real tutorial once it really like starts to work for me. But I'll just show you, how I do it for now. Basically, you just make the head and the legs with one piece, and then you twist and attach the arms with the other one, which is what I'm doing now. And you just pinch it in so that it like stays attached. I kind of skipped ahead a bit because I spent a really long time just adjusting, but basically you want to get your wire armature to be the exact shape that you want your mini to be, and this is where the cork comes in, because to hold it in place you can put the bottom feet part shoved into the cork so that when you are sculpting on it you can just hold the cork instead of having to hold the actual sculpture. The first thing I like to do is put a bit of my bees putty. We put it right in the chest where the arms attach so that you know that it won't move around at all. And then I'll bake that in place just to make sure that that is not moving anywhere. Now I use bees putty because that way I don't have to use any epoxy or anything with it. Like the bees putty is great because I can put it directly onto the wire. I can just bake it on and then I can keep putting more bees putty on top of that. You can bake it as much as you want and I don't have to do epoxy. If you're using like Super Sculpey or something else, it doesn't really stick to the wire, so you have to actually do an entire layer of like green stuff or epoxy putty or whatever else kind of stuff you'd want to use for it, because the Sculpey won't stick to the wire, it has to stick to the epoxy. But this way I can just skip that entire process and just use bees putty for the entire thing, and I've really been loving this material. It's like super cool. I actually find this to be the hardest part of the whole sculpting process, is just getting this little skin onto the wire. Because if you don't get it right, then you have to spend more time later just sanding it off or fixing it. So it's best to get it right the first time you do it when you bake it. Again, you can actually just sand it a little bit if there's little pieces sticking up, but it's better to do it kind of the right way first to save you more work later. So yeah, I just cover the entire thing in the skin. It doesn't have to have any proportion at this point. I just kind of cover it all, and then I'll put the shape in after. Okay, so that took absolutely forever, but like I said, it usually does. So now we get to do the fun stuff, which is sculpting the actual mini. This can take a while too, but I find it more fun just because you can actually sort of see how it's turning out. Sometimes it's a good idea to actually sketch out kind of what you want to try to do, so I did a little doodly doodle on the side there. Although, like I said earlier, I'm kind of a spontaneous sculptor, so I knew that I wanted something low cut and I wanted some horns, but otherwise I didn't really have a plan, so we're just gonna make things and see how it goes. I do recommend actually making some sketches ahead of time, but I had been thinking about this shape for so long that I just wanted to get right to it and just test it out. For tools, I actually mostly just use like an X-Acto knife, and then I do have two like silicone tools that have little metal balls on the end. They're super tiny and super great. The other cool thing is just your fingers honestly work great too. I'm not sure exactly the science behind it, but I find that if there's enough room, using my finger actually does the best work, like better than any other tool I've ever used. Now, I don't really have like a rhyme or reason necessarily to the order that I sculpt things in, although I do tend to go from bottom to top just because like usually I'm going to be covering up the feet with like clothes or pants, like shoes, a cloak or something like that. I do like to do the chest sort of in the beginning because if I did the arms and everything first, the chest gets harder to reach with my tools. So I think if you do the chest first, then that way it's just done, and no matter what, you can always do the arms after because they're easier to get to. And you'll see as I have peeled off her dress from her body. This is because I realized I wanted to make a necromancer, so I peeled the dress off so I could fit some, like, kind of rib bones underneath her dress. They're not really, like, anatomically correct, but you get the idea. You can tell that they're bones. And then I folded the dress back over top so that it looked like she didn't have any skin. Yay! I also made her right arm actually turn into the sword. I thought it would be really cool If she's a necromancer, I'm sure she does like super weird stuff, so I made it so that her sword was actually just coming out of her arm. I thought that would be kind of cool, so hopefully that works out. So here, this is the cape that I had set aside earlier, and now I'm just putting a bunch of like scratches and cuts, and basically I'm trying to like distress this beast putty so that it looks more like a ripped up cape. And then I'm gonna try to like wrinkle it and fold it so that it looks like it's actually like billowing on her. I also added a piece of wire to the cape. I did this just to give it a little bit more strength in the top, and so that when I baked it, it didn't slump down too much. I wanted it to really stick out a little bit so that it looked like it was billowing around her. I think this worked out, and it's usually a good idea if you're going to have big pieces sticking out like that to put some wire in it. Also, keep in mind that if you're going to be making clothes, you don't want them to be too thin because they will just kind of snap off after some use. But if you make them thick enough and people aren't like stomping on them, then it should stay together pretty well. Now, unfortunately, my camera ran out of space in the middle of recording this, so I don't actually get to show you much of the head or making the base. But yeah, you'll get to see that in the, afterwards when I show you the final result. It's gonna be great.
Guys, it's time. Look at her. She's so cute and badass. She's a little too big. Like I said, the standard mini is like 20 to 33, 35 millimeters. She's like 40, not including her staff, but whatever. She's like a boss lady, it's fine. If you like the video, make sure to hit the thumbs up and to subscribe so you can see more videos. Okay. Oh, bye-o!